All right, world, we're live. The KEW Exchange. Today, I have my good friend Joe Michael Nickson with me. He is one of my favorite people that I've met on this platform in the 14, 15 years I've been on it. His story of overcoming is beyond ridiculous and unbelievable in many ways, and I have a tremendous amount of admiration and respect for everything that him and his team do. So, Joe, why don't you let's go a little deep here first, right? I want to go into the story a little bit because I think we need to magnify how deep this goes for you, right? Because it overcame so many stigmas, overcame so many things that it needs to show the world that there is nothing you can't overcome.
No doubt.
And go straight back to like your environmental stigmas that you went through with growing up and everything else that you went through.
Okay. So my name is Joe Michael Nickson. I'm initially from what everyone calls the Crenshaw district, out of the rolling 60s area and all of that. Everybody, when you come over there, it looks like just a regular neighborhood, manicured lawns and everything. But everybody knows in Los Angeles, the gang culture it is what it is. And oftentimes, like everyone else, coming from a home, your mother and father, they know where you live, but to you, you think it's home. And they're doing everything to protect you from home. I don't actually know what home is. I think everything is fine here. So they send me to school in the Valley. So they created a situation for me where I am the only Black kid at school at times. So now I'm getting the best of both worlds when I come home. I am in the Valley all day and I'm learning about skateboards and Tony Hawk. And then I go home, my friends are talking about football, listening to NWA. So I didn't know moving forward to where I am now, that was actually preparing me for that bridge. So fast forward a little, my adolescent years come along. And of course, we're playing sports. We're doing all of the other things. But again, I told you this is where I'm going to school in the Valley. So I come home and oftentimes I hear the nudges like, hey, bro, sound like a white dude. So now my peers are in my house. I don't feel as I'm accepted here. Then at school, I don't fully belong there. So I'm like in this, okay, what do you do? And in your adolescent years, you're very impressionable. So that is the time I start participating in things that are taking place in the neighborhood, the little hustling, the doing this, the mischievous things of that, being fed in. And things escalated. And now I took this lifestyle more than the people who actually had to do it because they had to survive. I'm coming from a well-off family where my mother is a nurse, my father was a logistics manager. So, and I'm the only child, so everything, I'm just getting what I want. But what's going on out here, I'm impressed. I want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy out here. And I started to do things like, and maybe 16 years old, we started breaking into high-end mansions all over Pasadena and Malibu and all of it, doing things. And we were kids selling jewelry, getting the cars, doing all of the stuff. It was just about having things. That was our clique. We were having things. And I ended up getting arrested because someone left a fingerprint on one. Oh my goodness, I have to share this story with you. So out of all of the houses that we happened to do that day, why was it the district attorney of Pasadena's house? And first, like, you can't make this stuff up. So he's there, and long story short, I had to go to prison for a year and a half. And it was basically my first offense, and they sent me to what was called fire camp. So you got in the state of California, you get to go you do a PFT training, and they actually allow you to fight fires. Like, you're assisting with the line cutting and everything. Have to be in physical shape. Anyway, that didn't teach me a lesson whatsoever, because that was like, I'm like, are you serious? Like, people are shaking our hands, giving us beers and cooking us steaks. You saved my home. I'm like, this is dope. Like, okay, well, I can do this shit. Like, this is no big deal. So of course, two things happen. When you go to prison, either you're gonna be a better human or you're gonna be a better criminal. And in that infancy stage is why I'm still 19 years old. The choice was just to be a better criminal. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know anything else. And this is when it led to bank robberies. And this is when I was introduced that if anybody knows anybody about my area, we are infamous for that. That's just a thing. Like you go, I mean, it's a no-brainer for us. If you want some money, it's all right there. You just go get it. If you go get it or not, you know what I'm saying? You go put this together. If you're going to put this together or not. And I happen to have that natural charisma to attract people to a common goal and to see who can do this and can do the strategy and who's best for what. But I didn't know that skill set was for something else. But I ended up successfully robbing 27 banks, organizing them and all, and was never caught doing anything. Someone was arrested, even there's no excuse. And they said, don't take me to jail. I can tell you who's been robbing banks. So I end up going to trial. I went to trial. I was found guilty on one robbery and related firearm charges. And in order not to retrial the case, they allowed me to enter a plea in which I would plead to 3 more robberies and let the judge sentence me accordingly. Because had I got convicted of all of them, it was over with. You're never getting home. So I ended up getting 20 years in federal prison. I was sentenced. The sentence flowed as I have 60 months.
How old were you at that time?
I was 22 years old.
Oh man,
I was 22 years old. So it's an emotional thing. So you have to think about it like this: the feds, they will never sentence you to years. It's so psychological. They'll sentence you to months, right. And they sentenced me to 240 months. And I'm like, okay, that's not bad. Okay, until the bailiff is taking you out. And then you have your mental calculator. You're like, okay, so there's 12 months. Okay, so 12 times 5, that's 60. Damn, how much? Okay, 5 times. Wait a minute here. Before I can, I was like, shit. So getting ready for that. That was that transformation right there. I had to process that I was going to be like really gone longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
And I had to accept it. I didn't know because I was in denial. Like, okay, I got my appeal. They're not going to do, you're so optimistic. Like, I got this and I got this. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And all the gravity of everything came down once I was sentenced. Like, okay. And that is when my journey of self-reflection began. And I remember the day like yesterday. I was in a prison. It was Forest City, Arkansas. It's a federal correctional institution. And I was 25 years old. And I was reading a book, From Good to Great by Jim Collins. And I was like, damn it, I came to the realization that I really didn't know shit. And I was like, I was like a shell of myself, because in the street culture, I adopted the moniker Grease for being slick, being able to finesse, being able to all of that. And through all of that time, I forgot who Joe was. And I reintroduced myself to Joe in there. And it was amazing. And fast forward to 2014, Terminal Island Prison. Myself, along with my co-founder of the company, Vincent Braggs, and owner of a startup company, Jonathan Chokri. This magic happened to happen like this, like the world can make this happen. One day I was watching the news, and SportsCenter's running it. They have one of the Dallas Cowboys. His name is Joseph Randall, excuse me. Mm. And he was arrested for shoplifting. But what took place is he was actually in a shopping mall with his son. His son happened to be going through the terrible twos. Now, I found this out later on. His son is going through the terrible twos. He's trying to calm him down, but he's still shopping, has the underwear, and he has cologne. All intentions of the world to pass. He stepped out the store to calm his son down. They make a thing. He's Dallas Cowboys, a big thing. Everybody's making, oh, this guy. And a light bulb went off. I was like, well, I happen to be in here with this founder of this startup, MeUndies. This guy was shoplifting. Wait a minute. There's something here. What if you endorsed this guy, paid his fine, and let the world know that had he been using your product, he wouldn't have had to worry about it because you're an online company and they would have been delivered anyway.
Yep.
Man, make a long story short, I'm trying to convince this guy, Jonathan, I remember like yesterday, he was like, wait a minute, you want me to do what? I was like, listen, trust me. Well, this was on a Thursday. That Sunday, national news, Stephen A. Smith, the Washington Post, that everybody is talking about this story. It's like MeUndies endorses, and it's just sparked so many conversations. It's just dope. And I'm like, aha, I was like, I'm here. I was like, that's it. And so I am so big on what's going on. And my dear friend, Vincent Bragg, he goes away. He's gone for maybe 2 days after this happened because the whole prison is a buzz. Like we're celebrities. Like, oh my goodness. It's like, oh my, this is like one of ours made it. But Vincent goes away. And what I didn't know is Vincent is having his Moses moment. And Vince was like, damn, bro, like, we can do this for other brands. Like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I was like, so we send for him because we haven't seen him. I was like, bro, like, what's up? And he was like, hey, man, what if we had an agency, what would you call it? And I was like, first of all, like, bro, what is an agency? And he was like, okay, so he broke it down. He's like, so, you know, when we watch a McDonald's commercial, say whatever it is, do you know that McDonald's really doesn't write that? They really have nothing to do with it. And they like hire it. He was like, oh. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I was like, yeah, I could do that. He was like, hello. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. Well, we happen to be convicts who create concretes. And you know what I'm saying? And it has other derivatives, a Latin derivatives that means togetherness. So it was just like, that's what we were to do. And Vincent made a promise in 2014 when he got out. He said he was going to build us an agency. And we did just that. And now we're here working with some of the dopest agencies on the planet. I mean, dopest companies on the planet, from Facebook, Trojan, Adidas. We partnership with one of the dopest agencies in the world, 72 and Sunny. And just being accepted and just knowing that that was my passion and that was my purpose and this is our calling, and knowing that we're in the intersection of passion and purpose, I'm elated.
Okay, so take a step back. You're not being accepted. You're being chased.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is, right, like, okay, so I never went to prison, right? And I'm not going to pretend I did. Yeah. I didn't grow up in Crenshaw. I'm not going to pretend I did. I'm obviously white, so that's different too. You know, different situations, but I felt like I was in my own mental prison for years, right? Like I trapped myself, right? And over the last year, I've been coming out of this and fighting and finding myself and finally moving into who I'm meant to be, right? And learning that everything I've put myself through my whole life, I'm 41 years old, I'll be 42 in a couple of months. Everything I've gone through is to get me to where I am today. So that now I could take this knowledge base and leverage it into my future, right? And be able to take that skill set and apply it in a different way. So what you really did was take some of the most creative people on the planet, right? Because the most creative way is, how do you not get caught, right? So when you're doing something wrong, how do I not get caught? So you took some of the most creative minds in that aspect, and now you're retraining them to work within a system that was already created, while then breaking down the doors and kicking the glass ceilings in of this, you know, industry. You're annihilating it. Like, you guys are everywhere.
Thank you so much. It's just like, you have to think about it. So my co-founder, Vincent Bragg, even though he ran a $300 million drug empire, Vincent Bragg is not a drug dealer. He just happens to be a CEO who was moving an illegal product.
Right.
The logistics involved in that, the people skills, he's running a Fortune 500 company.
Oh, even bigger. I mean, it's even more than that, right? Because you're also trying not to get caught. Because it's a different story because you're leveraging it up a notch, right? Like, it's one thing about dumping pollution and trying to bury that in there. But now you're talking about building this whole infrastructure logistically and then scaling it, right? Because you're talking about levels. Most people don't understand drug dealing. I have a little bit of knowledge, and that, right? So you have the top guy bringing in the stuff. Then you have all the different layers that it goes through. You're not talking about logistics. You're talking about like setting up multi-level marketing, but in an illegal currency, right?
Definitely.
And it's a whole different level. And now he's taking that experience and not only doing it for himself, but he's recreating this for everyone else.
Recreating everybody and giving purpose for a natural skill set. These are natural skill sets. If you can do all of these things, like you said, in broad daylight and getting away with it, now you have something legal and you can just push this and we enter it with the same tenacity that we had in the streets. It's curtains. It's curtains.
It's already over.
Work ethic is just totally different.
Oh, it's never ending.
It's totally different. It was more about money. It was about that common goal. Let's get it together. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, guys. And we've created that with Concreate.
And it's amazing, right? Like, I see DJ in the comments, and you have to speak to DJ. DJ does a show on Monday evenings. Let Your Mayhem Be Known, I think is what she called it.
Oh, that's dope.
An amazing human being, but you've got to speak to her, and I'll introduce you too. But like, this is real. Like, this is the real deal. You want to talk about changing lives. You want to talk about impacting people. Now the trick is to get it into the education system and explain to these kids before they go to jail, before they come up in these environments, how their street knowledge can apply to the real world in a way like that's never been known or seen.
That's what we're working on right now. So just to take a step further on how this impact, we had a wait a minute moment maybe 2 months ago. 2 months, we were speaking at a summit maybe 2 months ago that happened to have a judge there. And his name is Judge Anderson, and he's a judge in Orange County. And we made an impression on him that I didn't know. So maybe 2 months ago, he reaches out, and you know how you're getting all of your emails and all this stuff, and you're like, we get one of those like, a Judge Anderson wants. Of course, you know, when we see Judge, everybody on my team was like, what the, like, what is this email? Like, hold up, time out. So,
I don't want to read this one. I don't want to read this. That's like, Harper, get over here. You read this, and then jump out the window if it's bad, because I don't want to see it.
Yeah, like, do we forward this to Harper? But no. Judge Anderson, and he had a case that came in front of him. Very unique case. The case actually involved someone losing their lives, and it was basically a robbery gone bad. But the individual, and there were some new law changes in the state of California, say you can no longer be liable for that if you actually didn't do it, had no knowledge of it, and it took place. The judge said he has an opportunity to resentence him to a life sentence or allow him to go home because he's been already incarcerated for 17 years. And when he's seen us, he said there is something in that man, because that man has did that since 15 years without getting an incident report. Modest just sit, I mean, just very humble, just doing his things, going to school, getting degrees. And he's like, I just want you guys to meet this guy and like, tell me what you guys think. And like, I'm like, okay, is this really happening? And he invited us into a courtroom. Nobody's here. We're interviewing this guy, chopping it up. We're talking to the prosecutor, the defense attorney. Oh my goodness, this is
that's a new experience. That's a new experience, right? Like,
that's I'm talking about. Listen, I'm talking about everybody knows the culture. I'm not talking about talking to the prosecutor. I'm talking about having a conversation with the prosecutor, because you know we always keep it all the way with the G code. But that was like the seeing that humanity in it, and we're creating something. It takes a village, and it was just like I didn't believe that. And long story short, they let him out. We took him. I mean, we got him a job. Mike Tyson's company stepped in. Mike Tyson Cares, Standing United. They had the whole support system. He's working. We just last week we took him in the studio because before he was incarcerated, he was rapping. So we're just documenting. We're changing people's lives, bro.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like but you're meeting them where they're at and opening their eyes to the opportunity that their natural skill set has. You know, so many things about our education system, about culture, about society, it takes us away from our core, right? Like it pulls us away from who our core really is. And what you're doing is you're turning around and leveraging who our core is and what the skill set they've acquired through street knowledge, through whatever they've been through. Right. I mean, even white collar crime and everything else that you can imagine, like there's skill sets there.
Listen, you have to think about it. You have State Farm Insurance. Let's just throw them out there. Say they have a new product and they want to test it. What ad agency or what consultant are you going to be able to come to besides Concreates where we can tap our network that probably has at least 300 of the people who committed some of the biggest fraud scams? We'll let them play with your stuff and foolproof. If you get past my crew, then you know what I'm saying. It is what it is. But the insight that gives is priceless to brands.
It is. And then the messaging too, right? Like how do you reach underserved communities, and how do you reach people that, you know, don't really get to hear their message, right? They don't hear it in their way often, right? Or the way that they're used to, because it, you know, everybody has this broad scope of messaging, and, you know, all these big companies, they cater towards targets, right? You guys have a creative way of being able to target towards the masses, but from within, because you're able to reach people on a level that most people can never even imagine.
Most definitely. And to like, when people hear incarceration, people be like, okay, it's not me. Well, we happen to live in the United States of America, where 1/3 of our population, I said 1/3 of our population is affected by the criminal justice system on parole, probation, a former record or something. So that means almost 6 degrees of separation. It affects everyone.
Every single person. I mean,
everyone.
My DUI in 2004, I mean, the Florida law is that it goes on my record for 75 years. So, I mean, you know, that's going to, yeah.
Wait, 75 years. When did they write that law on prohibition?
Like right before I got mine. Like seriously, within like a year of me getting mine, it was just karma, right? Like, I mean, even there was an 80-year-old lady that got arrested for her pain pills that has it on her record. And I'm like, this lady's 80. Like, I mean, you can't put it on a record for 75 years. It just doesn't exist. Like, right. And you know what's funny? Like Florida's laws, DUI laws are so strict. Like they don't give you wiggle room for a second mistake, right? Like Florida's really bad with that. So, you know, at the time I was still drinking, right? Like I've been sober now 15 years. Doesn't affect me because I don't worry about it.
Oh, congratulations.
Right. So like it doesn't affect me now. But like when I first got it, it's like, man, they're really setting me up to be screwed, aren't they? You know, I mean, I was 20. Okay, so I must have been 20. No, it was right before I turned 25 because it was May 9th, 2000.
No Uber, no Lyft, you know, but we just got to get how we live.
Yeah, like, I mean, I got to 100 till this thing falls off. So I guess no matter what, I ain't looking good here. I mean, this is what they put it in. You know, it's like, but they set you up to fail in this system. It's a money-creating system. You know, all the jails are privatized. You know, like, why did they take you from California, send you to Arkansas? I mean, I've been in Arkansas for over a year. Still not happy about it.
How the feds do it, it's business. So I was scheduled to. They tried to keep you within 500 miles of your residence. They tried.
They missed by a little.
No, but what happens is if a new prison opens up, we may need. I need 150 black dudes. I need 200 Hispanics. 100. Your lottery. You're going to Arkansas. We'll see you later. It is what it is.
Oh man.
Figure it out, buddy.
But they don't do, just like the education system is broken and they don't teach us to continue learning and want to be creative. There is no real reform. There is no let's give people a chance to actually grow, right?
No, it's the individuals. This is why Concreate we founded this on a belief system that creativity without opportunity leads to criminality.
Yeah.
These were some of the dopest people I've seen on the planet. I've seen these individuals make purses out of potato chip bags. I've seen individuals get the coloring off of Skittles to make a birthday card. I've seen these individuals deep down into the soul of creativity, and I was like, this is where it's at. If you can adapt and create these things and make a lasagna in a microwave and do these things and make these dishes and cheesecakes, bro, I mean, come on, man. It's self-explanatory.
Well, I mean, and you know, like, okay, so we'll go back and digress a little bit, but like, if you can figure out how to move illegal drugs and you can be creative on how that process goes, man, you can do anything.
Man, you can do it. Listen, do you know how quickly my team dissects briefs? Because it's like it just clicks so fast. Okay, Instagram wants to do such and such, such and such. Okay, if you don't see this, the analytics says there's the problem. Okay, let's get to the next brief. And let's go, because we are in tune with culture so much.
And it's crazy though, because there's these untapped resources, and it's definitely a global issue. I gotta believe that, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is step one for you guys, right? Like there's got to be a bigger global vision over time.
We've had 9 countries contact us from the UK, Australia. They want to run. What's funny in Australia, because we actually can't go right now. We just got denied.
Right.
But it's insane.
It's fun. I mean, well, they're not letting anybody in the country anyway, right? Like they're
living over there. Yeah, they're open. Yeah, they're living.
Then you got to deal with all the shit, like your passion.
Yeah, that was our objective, to go over there and shoot, because we wanted to get our production out of the way, because they're working over there. So we just had a bright idea. We knew it was a long shot, but had to shoot it anyway.
What about New Zealand? Did you try New Zealand?
No, we didn't try New Zealand. Well, the thing about Australia is, like, that was one of the first like places where they started to incarcerate people. So it just made sense to go back there. You know what I'm saying? So
that's interesting.
Yeah, we gonna get to it though. It's all
So what's the biggest thing that you guys have done so far that's completed already? That's already complete. Didn't you guys do stuff at the Super Bowl?
Okay, yeah. So let me I'm going to let me see. Okay, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one for stuff that is going on right now, because I'm like, we have stuff that we're working on right now.
What about past stuff that's already done in the
the highest, some of the highest stuff the newest hottest stuff that we just did right now. I don't know if you guys know my son in general. Well, he's one of the dopest MCs ever, but he happened to call his passion to social justice issues. So frontline for arresting the cops who did Breonna Taylor, frontline for anything for the people. And it's just so dope that he puts it down. But when he does get inspired, he wants to rap. And he just dropped a song for Black History Month. And he reached out like, Concrete, man, I need you guys to give me the visuals for this. Give me that LA feel. And I'm talking about, we at $500,000. I'm talking about the numbers are doing ridiculous. They're doing ridiculous. We did the Mike Tyson. This last election was Mike Tyson's first time voting. And we had an idea to document it, and just, you know what I'm saying, because it was my first time voting as well. But since Mike is Mike, we thought it was cool to be like, come on, let's get behind this. It did wonderful in the world. It was this public service announcement. We did the We Matter 2 movement with Common. When the COVID first started, there were rampant cries from individuals who were incarcerated. And can you imagine when it first started? And someone on the window in the Chicago jail wrote, "We matter too," because people were just in there dying. They couldn't And Common took hold of that, and he was like, well, we need to magnify that. And we did that whole campaign as well. So those are just three things that are just out there just right now, and things that you guys are going to be seeing real soon. Real soon.
So what is your dream? What is your dream project? What is the biggest thing that you could ever imagine working on? I'm just curious. Put it out there. Put it out there and manifest this thing. Let's do it.
The biggest.
You got my energy with you, man. So let's manifest this for you. Put it out there.
That's an interesting question. The biggest project that I can work on probably wouldn't be in the creative space. It would probably be in the justice reform space. And that would happen to be, there is something that took place in 1994. It was a part of the criminal bill act that they passed. And it was something called the Anti-Terrorism Death Penalty Act. And with that, they were doing things, you know how they pass laws and they just slide things in there that people don't notice. Well, prior to this law coming in, there was a section called 2255. So with the 2018 USC 2255, you're allowed to file a motion and challenge your sentence, or if something is wrong with your sentence. And you can do this whenever, prior to 1994. Well, 1994 came and the crime bill came out. Guess what they did? You no longer have an opportunity to do this whenever. You have 1 year from the day of your sentencing.
Wow.
To go to law school, basically. So they're telling you that. So there are so many individuals that are in prison, federal prison especially, with illegal sentences, but no way to get them heard.
So they silenced the whole.
They silenced the whole thing. So to me, I know that if we repeal that one section, just allow individuals to litigate, not let me go home, just give me the opportunity to have my complaint heard.
Right.
That would be like, I would hang my hat on that, like I did that for the people.
Well, I mean, not only that, because then you're motivating people to educate themselves, right? Yeah. Go get educated, go create something for yourself, and then have a fair chance, right? Like, go have your own fair chance. Like, I mean, I don't understand, like, the way these policies and bills and all this crap works, it makes no sense to me. Like, I don't, to me, there's no benefit. They're not benefiting anyone, right? Like,
I said long ago, I said, well, if the government does know that there are aliens out there in the universe, I hope they're not speaking on our behalf, because I think we could communicate a lot better than them.
Well, I mean, I always say that if there's aliens in the universe, they're not going to come here because we're too stupid.
Hey, like, you guys too damn stupid. You guys got that beautiful place down there. You tearing it up.
Yep, you're just. We have no interest. We'll wait for you to cannibalize yourself and then just take it.
Because eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but in reality, I mean, that's how I feel. Like, humanity just does it. We do it to ourselves, right? Yeah. Like, we look for excuses to divide ourselves. We look for excuses to tear ourselves apart when, you know, we're one race, the human race. Like, color, religion means nothing. Like, we're here on one rock. This is a rock, okay? Like, really magnify the size of the universe. We're a speck of dust. So if we don't do something to survive, now, granted, Musk is probably going to put us on Mars. Because he's going
to Mars. Yeah, we're right here.
He's going to keep putting money in on his own until he gets there. I have no doubt that he's going to get us.
He has it in his mind. He has that whole Howard Hughes ideology. He's going to push and push and push and push and push.
I have zero doubt that he's zero. And you know, it's like the only way to survive long term in this universe is multiplanetary, right? Like, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Every once in a while, a rock comes around and hits another rock. So if we believe anything else, then we're just naive. Now, I don't know if Mars is the right planet. That's way beyond my capability, but it is. Right. Oh, but you got to go somewhere, right? And there's so much to this, to where humanity is just constricting itself to these simple beliefs, right? And nobody's going past the surface. You know, there's these amazing energy flows and these amazing auras and these amazing healing principles and all these things that we have inside of us But we allow big pharma, we allow these corporations, we allow these companies to shrink us, to put us in these boxes so that they can control and have manipulation tactics over us.
Wow.
And it's sad.
It's very sad. And 9 times out of 10, they have everybody trying to survive and do these things instead of just realizing like you have a call to action. Your call to action is humanity first. Like we were having this discussion last night. Like I feel saddened at times where I see like brutal things or altercations going on and people really see someone needs help or intervene. And I see 35 cameras out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, where in the hell is humanity going?
Where's the one person putting the damn phone down and helping?
Putting the phone down, you know what I'm saying? Like, are these people who are sitting down courtside in these games when life was going on and on their phone? Like, do you know a kid would cut his right arm to sit down and be at that game?
Yeah,
like people are so just out of touch, but it is what it is, you know?
Well, I mean, I think those things are going to change. I truly believe in humanity. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I do. I have no formal reason to believe in humanity because we go out of our way to screw ourselves all the time.
Well, I respect your humanity, and I respect you as a human being and a kindred spirit the first time we interacted, and it's dope. So, like, we have to challenge people to respect if I respect your humanity, you respect my humanity, we respect each other's humanity. How do we push everybody to that? Those are the problems that I have. That's the shit I like to work on.
Me too. And that's the magic, right?
That's the magic.
That's the magic. You got to bring like-souled people together with different minds because the key is you need the different perspectives, right? So when you're bringing people together, like-minded is a waste of time. You don't want like-minded because then everybody thinks the same crap. What you need is like-souled with the truest intent that you create a collective of diverse people, diverse minds, diverse backgrounds to bring their perspectives to the table, share their perspectives, and build towards something bigger that nobody can believe on their own.
Well, I think I'm just going to give you kudos again, and no pun intended, but I do believe that you have that Professor X thing coming on when you have that uncanny ability to just have these people drawn to you or you interact with them and you put them in the right places. Like that, may be one of your things. You know what I'm saying? And it feels so good, and it just happens, and it happens, and it happens. But you know, Professor X, Mike, this is what it is.
Well, I got the haircut going already. So all good there, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if you know Reggie Waterman, but he calls me Professor X all the time.
That's dope.
Yeah. He's and it's hysterical. It's you know what it is? I'm comfortable with my own skin today, and I'm going with my intuition. Like, I'm not doubting myself anymore.
No doubt.
You know, like, there's still little things I'm working through. I'm human, right? I make a lot of mistakes. I make bad decisions. I still have a lot of trauma that I'm still processing and shit from my youth. And that's fine because I'm a work in progress. We all are. But, like, I trust myself, and I know what I'm doing. And I know where I'm going, and I know where I'm taking people with me. Right? Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I could be, hey, Annie, I could be nobody today, right? I could be unknown today, but where I am in 10 years isn't defined on based on where I am today.
No,
right? Like, today is just a piece of that puzzle, and bigger picture is where I'm going and who I'm taking with me. No. Right? And my goal is to bring humanity with me. Right? Like, I want to bring the best out in every person I touch. I want to bring the best out in every human I interact with, and I want to give them and inspire them to bring the best out of themselves, right? Because being self-inspired is power, right? You don't want to depend on anybody else to be inspired, so you need to be self-inspired. So when you're able to light that for somebody and you're able to bring that out in somebody, that's when you start changing the world, right? That's when souls start communicating directly, and it's beyond this human experience. Like, you know, it's beyond it, right? Like, I mean, think about it, right? Like, we haven't communicated a ton because you're so busy. I've been dealing with the kid stuff. I'm dealing with my crap. But every time we talk, like, 20 topics come up that we need to go follow through with.
Oh, definitely.
Our souls are already working on stuff. We just need to catch up to them.
Yeah, like, it's like, I was thinking about that. I was like, we have to do this thing where we have to take 4 things and we have to really put them in a hat. And when the time, like, okay, we got to grab one now. Okay, we're on it. This is the time we're doing this one. And when time permits, we'll do the next one. And then we're going to throw 4 more in there and just start and just put.
See, and the way I look at that is I'm putting 100 things in a bucket.
Yeah.
But I'm bringing 500 people around them because then it's a combined effort, right? It's bringing together a united front for the elevation of humanity. Right now, whether it's with technologies, whether it's with projects, whether it's with inspiring people one-on-one, whether it's changing media, whether it's changing technology, whether it's changing how all these pieces come together, it's all bringing just the pieces to the table and then letting the community figure it out, right? Because as a collective community that's like-souled, the answers are going to provide themselves, right? You don't have to fight for those answers.
Yeah, the truth doesn't need an explanation. Those are things my grandmother, like, you don't have to, if you see someone explaining, 9 times out of 10, it's a lie. You know what I'm saying? The truth is the truth and needs no explanation. And like my grandmother also said, people never remember what you've done for them, but they always remember how you made them feel and how you make people feel all the time. Your phone calls will be answered at 2 or 3 in the morning from me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I hope people take a note from that.
Well, and the other part of it is words are nothing, right? It's actions that mean everything, right? So what are you doing to make that action, right? Like as me and you were talking, I'm introducing you to this person, this person, this person. Every time I talk to you, I introduce you to more people because more ideas come to mind, right? So it's like, at what part what is the action that you're putting behind what you're doing, you know? And where is your intent going?
Exactly.
Right? Like when I make an introduction, it's not like I reach out to both people and say, well, how'd it go? What was, what came out of this? What's in it for me? I mean, I never.
Y'all need to talk and this is what it is.
Right. Like, I mean, I ask, like, let's just move on to the next thing. Like I'm bringing the next people to the place.
You're like, you created a position that's called, you're the, matter of fact, I anoint you the broker of brilliance. Straight up.
Well,
that's your new handle now. Put that on the card.
There you go. Look, I've been called many things. That's pretty awesome, and I love it. It's up there with Professor X. I mean,
yeah, you're the broker of brilliance. We need our own name anyway. You know, all things creative, you can count on us, man. We do this in our sleep.
Well, there you go. I mean, and let's go, right? Like, I mean, there's so many pieces to this puzzle, and the world is so big but so small at the same time. There's 7 billion, right? But there's also only 7 billion. Like, it's hard to understand that, but you've really got to wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
Because, there's 7 billion people, but you only probably need to know you need to have contact with, let's say, 50,000 to probably reach the whole 7 billion.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what numbers about, yeah. You should
because then it spirals, right? And it ripples.
Yeah.
How do you impact those 50,000? You impact those 50,000 by bringing them together for a united cause and then allowing their magic to come out. Like, reading The Alchemist and reading all these books and going through all these different things. You need to inspire people to find their own magic, right? And this is what you do on a daily basis because you're taking people that were constricted and literally locked into this is your life, right? This is where you're at, whether it's 6 years, 6 months, not 6 months because you were in federal, but whatever it is, right? Like long term.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with this time that's going to make an impact that by the time you get out, you're not even the same person? Like, what are you doing with that time, right? Yeah. And it's when I first got here to Arkansas, one of my friends, he's like, this is your Rocky IV moment, right? This is when you've got to redo everything in your life, and I've called this place my personal hell. I've called this my personal prison. I've called this all these things, right? I'm 1,200 miles away from everyone I knew. I haven't, I've been around very less than 3 people that I've known in the past year. Like people don't come see me very often. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. It's not convenient, whatever, right? And COVID obviously didn't help. And then there's always, everybody's busy. So it's not a judgment, but like, this is my personal, let's say prison is what I used to call it. Now I look at it, this is my personal abyss. This is my this is my time to rebuild me in the way that I need to be, so that when I'm done here, I'm nowhere near that same person. I'm nowhere near the flaws, the mistakes, or anything else that's carried me to this point. I'm now the one who embraced those and can carry it forward to inspire others to do the same.
See, that's what I love, because that attitude right there is profound.
I promise you, I didn't have it when I was leaving court yesterday, but today I have it.
That's profound, bro. That's profound. Because it allows you to embrace uncertainty, as well as the way that you are at the point where your mistakes now are really 90% laughable now, because you're gonna get a laugh out of it, because it's just a mistake. And it's not, I didn't second guess myself. I just probably shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, and I do it daily, right? Like daily. Like, I mean, I'll send a text message and I'll be like, wow, I really shouldn't have done that one. Because I'm just, whatever response is coming, I'm getting kicked in the nuts. Like, I mean, that's just, and I deserve it, and that's okay, right? And I'm going to leave that alone. But I do that with phone calls, and I do that with sometimes making introductions that are just not the right reasons or the right ways. And, it's so funny though, because when I start judging myself for those mistakes, then I start going this spiral again.
Yeah.
So the key is, like you said, you gotta laugh those off, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I can't change it, right? Like, I can't do anything to change the damn thing. So, it is what it is. And you just
don't beat yourself up over those things. It can't change it. I'm here with it. These decisions are what they are, and we are here.
Well, yesterday was like this thing, right? Like, I really thought my hearing was going to go well, and I was going to be able to leave the state. And
you were up there,
start my new life, like, go get ready, and I had everything bet on this. And then what I realized when it didn't happen that way, and I found that it's going to be another 6 to 8 months, maybe sooner if she settles, but as of now, let's just say 6 to 8 months, because I don't know when yet. They haven't stated when the final hearing is. They just keep dragging it out. But like, now that I look at it, it's like, yeah, it sucks. I really don't want to be here. But I put so much on hold in my life with the expectation of not being where I'm at, that I forgot that I could just do it where I'm at. And that's the ironic part of this conversation.
Like, literally, you can move the crowd, like, literally.
But think about it, because what's the irony of this conversation today? Because you did it while in prison. And if you can do it while in prison, then what the frig am I complaining about?
Move the whole crowd, man.
That's it. Like,
the whole crowd. They say we always make plans and the universe laughs. So there were 3 times that I was supposed to go home, and I ended up getting in trouble. But these 3 times in retrospect, this is where if I hadn't have done this, I don't meet Vincent. If you don't do this, we don't not to meet. If you don't, so all of those had to happen anyway.
Yeah, it's all meant to be. Whether I'm here for 30 more days, 60 more days, 90 more days, 8 months, whether I'm here for 2 years.
So much to do from right there is the only reason why you're not leaving yet.
That's it. And you know what? I'm fine with that today. Like, yesterday I didn't have a minute to breathe, right? Like, I got out of court. Next thing you know, I have 75, 80 messages from people that really genuinely care about me, but I wasn't in a place to receive it, because I was just like, my mind was shutting down, and I was overwhelmed, and I didn't feel like I got my just representation, that my kids weren't getting represented in their best interests. Like, I really sat back, and it was like, I was suffocating, like allowing it to suffocate. And then last night, it was like, I finally got time at 8:30 at night to like settle down. By 8:55, I was sleeping on the couch.
No,
my mind was just like done.
Emotional breakdown, I'm done.
Right. And my 3-year-old sleeping on the couch next to me, like right in the corner that I'm in now. She curled up in that ball right there because she has to sleep next to me. And she was out cold. I woke up at midnight. She was there sleeping. And it was just like, I'm like, who cares? I don't care where I am. It doesn't matter.
Come on, man. You're going to touch everybody. You're going to touch everybody on the planet that needs to be touched by your messaging.
And I am. And you know what? And it's going to magnify, and it's going to grow. And I don't need to be anywhere specific for that. I don't need to be in a specific place. You know, I don't need to be in person in certain scenarios in my life right now. If some people will respect it, some people won't respect it, some people want things different. You know what? I'm done with that. I'm not expecting different for myself anymore.
No doubt.
And I'm not going to allow my circumstance to control how I interact anymore. And I'm not going to not be my best self because I don't feel like I'm in the right space. Because I'm right here and I'm in the right fucking space.
No self-loathing.
No, I'm done.
Yeah,
no.
You too much. You too of a person. We don't do none of that.
Well, you know what I did, right? Like my in-laws are in town until Sunday, so I said, "You're taking my kids the next 2 days because I haven't had no kids since March 5th of last year."
Man, no doubt. Grandparent time.
Yeah, I'm taking the next 2 days. I'm taking the next 2 days. I booked a hotel. I'm going 2 hours away, and I'm just finding me again, man. Like,
listen, this is time for the Better Me movement. It's all about balance. You do so much. It's okay for a timeout. It's okay for a timeout. It's okay. I actually was addicted to self-reflection. So that's one thing people don't get to, like, you have to be addicted to self-reflection in order to grow. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I'm saying don't ignore those flaws that you see in yourself. You know, individuals be like, I'm just this way and that's way. No, that is a choice. You choose to be like that and you're accepting mediocrity. Mm-hmm. You can do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just put that best foot forward.
Well, see, and this is what I decided today, right? Like I hate labels, right? Despise any label. But what I realized is the last year I've just dad. That's all I've been, right?
No,
like I don't even know who I am anymore because I'm such a different person. I'm taking the next 2 days to be me, whatever that is.
I don't want to be a title. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be a title. I'm not the. Let me just. I'm me.
And I also decided that any of my old escapism tactics, I'm done.
No, listen, one of my favorite quotes ever is from Albert Einstein, and he says, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Mm-hmm. I'm saying continuously to do our own escapisms and go back, and they haven't worked, and you're doing them again. Like, no, we have a problem. That's like teetering with insanity.
It is, and I've always allowed myself to fall back into it in one way or another, right? Because there's an excuse for everything.
I'm guilty of it as well.
We can make an excuse, right? Like I realized so much in the last 13 hours, like since I was able to slow down and get my mind a little quiet. It's like everything is so clear right now. I know what I'm doing and I know my purpose, and everything else doesn't matter anymore. Nothing on the outside matters.
Mm-hmm. Can't let anything get in the way of purpose. Like when you're in the intersection of passion and purpose, even your emotions can't enter into that. And that is one of the biggest things that helped me. And shout out to Joyce Chan at Facebook for giving us that executive coaching therapy. I mean, that is something that is taboo, and especially in my community. Mm-hmm. But that helped me tremendously. That helped tremendously. You cannot expect to come out of a hostile environment like federal prison for almost 2 decades and just thrust into corporate America and think that you're not going to have any hiccups without going through executive coaching.
I'm sure there's a few triggers.
Right? More than a few, from vernacular to mannerisms and all of these things, you know what I'm saying? So it was a culture shock to say the least. Like everybody wasn't all good.
No, I'm sure there was sharpening spoon time. There was like, like, what do I got to do? Like, and
what did they just say? Like, maybe, okay.
Yeah, it's like, and people, you know what it is? It's not that people mean to be insensitive. They just don't get it. People don't get it.
They just don't get it. And it's one of the irony things is like coming out, the biggest thing was how much more rude and inconsiderate individuals are in society compared to prison. Yeah. Compared to prison, you're going to hear "excuse me" 1,000 times. You're going to hear a pardon me. You're going to say, "Was that?" You're going to hear "excuse." You're going to see acknowledgement ahead. You're going to see all of that, and to expect that when you come out, you're like, "Damn, Like, wow, where is the humanity?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you're having these mannerisms in prison and out here, but people in prison are the ones called upon.
Yeah.
So I've always told the men, I've met more good people in prison than I've met bad people outside. Not even a comparison.
No, it's crazy. Like my one friend went for years, and I remember when he first got out, like we went out, like we went to a club, and then we went to go eat at one of those, I don't know where it was, maybe a Denny's or one of those places, right? It was like late night. It was his first night, like really going out once he got out. I think he was in 5-6 years. Like he's sitting there holding the door for everybody. You know, his food's done. He's asking where does he put his plate to try and clean up. Everybody else is slobs, just throwing shit on the floor, expecting people to labor over them and just disrespecting everything. And you know, like I'm looking at him and I'm like, wow, like we're really fucked up. Like,
what's crazy, 9 times out of 10, his eating environment was in his cell. So it's always as soon as he finishes eating, we have to clean up.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Yeah. It's respect though, and yeah, part of it's fear, part of it's rules, part of it's different reasons, right? But like, why aren't these things instilled? Why aren't these things just understood, right? And I even look at, like, you know, saying this now, like I'm looking at the way I parent sometimes, and I'm too soft on my kids in a lot of ways, right? Because of what they went through. I'm trying to be the other extreme, and you know, yeah, I have stuff that I stick to and stuff that I, you know, I'll take away their Wi-Fi, I'll take away different things. Like I do it in a more gentle way because of what they've been through, right? The abuse and everything that they were put through. So I'm trying to handle it in a different way. But I'm really looking at it now, and there's a better way. Like I swear we need something called like jailhouse training or jailhouse parenting, to give kids more manners and be able to, like, you know, teach them a better way to be to people.
Yeah.
There's a mutual respect.
Common theme. You know, Mike, that's a common theme in my household as well. It's their interaction with their mannerisms and their tone with one another, and what they see is just totally different. And they do not even know that they're being offended. They don't know that they're offending you. They're actually using their vernacular, their tone that everybody does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I understand you totally with that one.
All right. So we're over a little bit, so we'll cut it.
Okay, no doubt.
We're definitely gonna have to do another one, man.
And no doubt, we go plug in, man. We gonna make this happen, but we're most definitely gonna schedule this call this week.
Definitely. I already sent you the calendar, so I'm going to end the live. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Whoever was out there, appreciate you. Whoever watches the replay, reach out to Joe. He's a man to know by far. And see you guys tomorrow.